Okay, everybody. We know that you were upset that we took so long to do Brian, but we were just doing it. We apologize for whatever.
Honestly, it only had to do with the fact that he's really competitive and it makes the date stressful.
Yeah. They're like, well, we did the first date. The recording got messed up because the MP3 file didn't finish encoding into a closed thing. Like when you record, it's whatever.
You don't have to explain the whole thing.
All right.
Basically,
it messed up. And it's stressful to date him. It just is.
Well, so we recorded it much sooner, but had to push it off and do it again. So
because it's so stressful. I can understand why some people like want somebody to bring out their competitive side, the best in themselves, because you're constantly trying to better yourself. But it's really stressful.
Well, but here's the thing, is that if I was going to go on a quote-unquote competitive date, I'd want it to be at something that I'm actually good at.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas, like, Todd is not good at any of the things that we're shit-talking with Brian about.
How do you know that Todd's not secretly a podcaster? And that's his job, about learning new things.
No.
What is his job?
What is our job?
What is the main character's job?
I'm telling you, I think we're looking to be a stay-at-home dad.
We're going to be a sugar baby?
Yeah.
Don't use metal utensils on non-stick frying pans.
It's true. It's a good way to ruin your frying pan.
They should sell a little book. Oh, he messaged us first.
Oh, I have a message from Brian.
He's a go-getter.
Yeah.
He's assertive.
I do like that, though.
But then he's too assertive and you get stressed. I just want to be with somebody who I can lay on the couch with, and I get to the point where I'm so relaxed that they just start feeding ice cream into my mouth because they think I'm so pathetic. And it's amazing. That's all I want.
I just like being with somebody who it's like you pretty much leave each other alone 95% of the time.
Yeah, you're sitting next to each other. One of them's using a computer on their lap, Redditing. The other one is playing a video game. Just being close is nice. Mm-hmm. But don't forget to do nice things for each other. Or else. You'll lose them forever. Anyway. Hey, Daisy and I are going fishing tomorrow. Are you in or out? Because we already agreed to this date. Oh, yeah.
Oh no, I've been dreading this day. I accidentally boasted about my abilities as a fisherman to Brian, and now he's challenging me to another dad-off. I've been doing my fishing research online, but I'm nowhere close to being an expert. Still, though, I have to accept.
I don't like that the premise is that we're lying, even though it is kind of like...
I know, I totally agree with you.
It feels like you're losing some intimacy with the situation.
Here's the thing, is that I think it's totally valid to express interest in things that you may not normally like. But
you gotta, like, say that, you know?
Yeah, like, say if the person that, like, wants to take you on a date and they're like, oh, do you like such and such thing? Instead of being like, oh, yeah, I'm the best at it, you can just be like, oh, like, yeah, that sounds interesting, I'd love to go.
You know what people respect more than if you like everything they like is if you go, oh, I don't know much about that. Teach me about it.
Yeah.
Like, so, like, say you have a crush. Say you're, like, some nerdy girl in high school and you have a crush on this guy who's totally into metal, but you don't know anything about metal, and your name isn't Mari, and you go up to them and you try to pretend that you're into metal, but then they think you're a poser because you're lying to them and they don't respect that, and you've ruined your chances forever with that long-haired, beautiful man.
Mm-hmm.
What I could have done, this hypothetical person could have done is just go, I don't know about metal, can you teach me? And that could have been the activity where you bond.
Yeah.
And they teach you music. This could have happened and I messed it up. Now we're not together. Me and this hypothetical. Them.
I type back to Brian. Sounds great, man. Super excited to catch all those fish. And my lawn could use another good mowing.
Wait, hold on. Wait a second. What does that mean? Which lawn?
It means that remember we had the bet with him?
Did you know that one of the questions on OkCupid for compatibility is, would you let your partner shave your genitals?
Huh. Interesting.
Is that like a thing? Because one time I read a fan fiction about Garrus Vakarian shaving FemShep's vagina.
You mean, is it a thing for any... Yeah, of course it is.
But I'm wondering, is this like a common thing?
Oh,
of shaving each other's genitals?
I don't know. I mean, I certainly know that people do it.
Each other's genitals?
Yeah. I don't.
Okay. I was scared. No.
Okay.
Oh, shit! I just kink shamed!
Wow, Mari.
I just kink shamed. I'm so sorry to anybody who enjoys shaving other people's genitals or other people shaving your genitals.
Yeah, what would you have done if I had said yes? You pretty much just...
Yeah, you're right.
Who are these weirdos, Stacy?
I fucked up. What can I say?
Yeah, I know that there are people that do it. Brian responds back, letting me know that tomorrow he'll pick us up at an hour I had previously forgotten existed. Man, that's gonna be a rough start. Amanda comes into the room from the kitchen, eating a cheese stick by biting off piece by piece like some kind of monster. I didn't raise you like that.
What?
It's called string cheese and not chompy cheese for a reason, Amanda.
I think it's really weird when people eat string cheese like that. Because I've tried it, and it was wrong.
Like when they eat it in bites?
Yeah, it weirds me out.
Yeah. Well, they do have some that is, like, in a stick. It's a cheese stick, but it's not string cheese. It depends on the type of cheese.
I know, so that's why, like, if you eat it in a stick, it's not going to have that specific string cheese flavor.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, texture, I meant.
Yeah.
It's just wrong. It upsets me on a deep moral level.
I like eating it like string cheese because it reminds me of spinal cord.
So you can pretend that, like, oh no, that would be a great scene for a dark comedy TV show about a serial killer who eats people.
Yeah.
Like if Hannibal was funny, they'd take it out and they'd be like, and it's like awkward, and he's holding the spinal column and he's like, oh, it's string cheese. And then like his he or she's coworker could be like, I love string cheese, and just grabs one of the things and starts eating, and they're like, this tastes weird, and then they're like, yup, and then, you know, it's wacky hijinks, it's wacky and like awkward, so it's funny.
Okay.
Ugh. Did you just call me in here to criticize my controversial string cheese eating technique, or what?
No, Amanda, we have to go fishing tomorrow.
Well, you have to go fishing. I get to play with Brian's dog.
How do I become a master of fishing overnight? You went fishing in the Girl Scouts, didn't you?
Why doesn't he have a dog? Because he doesn't have a job, apparently. And apparently he can draw... How is he able to just be like...
Maybe we're allergic to dogs.
But he said he was considering getting a dog.
I don't know.
And then
are you asking why somebody wouldn't have a dog? I can think of a million reasons why somebody wouldn't have a dog.
And none of them are good enough reasons. Nope. My stint in the Scouts was brief and purely transactional, though I could get free cookies, but I didn't know what I had to. Thought I could get free cookies, but I didn't know that I had to, like, be outside and tie knots and stuff.
I'd rather play with somebody else's dog, because dogs are messy. But I have to beat Brian.
Dad, let me tell you a story. Do you remember last summer how I applied for a job at that coffee shop across town?
Give me a refresher.
During the interview, they asked me if I knew how to work an espresso machine. I really wanted the job, so I lied and said yes. On that first morning, there was a line out the door
And within...
God, what is with me today? And within half an hour, I severely burned my hand, and they told me to go home and never come back. I still have a scar from that. Wait, how does your dad forget that story?
I don't know. Of course I remember. I think it's more tell the story for the viewer. Of course I remember. What does that have to do with fishing?
The burn is a metaphor, Dad.
I don't get it.
Can't lead a horse to water.
You can lead a horse to water.
You can lead a horse to water.
Right, this is gonna be a long reading day, huh? What do horses have to do with fish and burns?
Dad, please. I don't get your obsession with competing against Brian.
You wouldn't understand. It's a dad thing.
Please try to explain it to me.
Okay, Brian's just... He just thinks he's so much better than me, and he purposefully reminds me of that whenever he can. It's like he has to one-up me. I have to beat him at his own game.
I never feel like that's the case when he's talking. I totally feel like it's a internal, our own mind thing. How do you feel?
I completely disagree with you.
Is it because that you yourself are competitive and
You know
recognize
that he is the rival dad, right? Like that is his name given to him.
Oh, sorry, Stacey. I don't see labels.
Oh, sorry. Sorry you didn't read the in-game lore, Mari.
Yeah, I didn't. I don't go with Stacey's like, excuse me, according to this mythos, his title, his soul-bound name is Rival Dad.
Mm-hmm.
What are all the different dad names?
Goth Dad, Bad Dad, Youth Minister Dad, Cool Musician Dad. I don't remember what Matt's is.
Coffee Dad?
No. It's he's
Indie Dad?
He's like Hip Dad or something.
Hipster Dad.
No. Yeah, stuff like that.
Okay.
And then there's yeah.
Okay. Is that what you think is happening here?
No, Amanda.
Okay,
I know that's what's happening.
Alright, Top. We should both be getting some sleep. See you in the morning.
Night, Panda. So I think that it's more just like, even if he's not purposely trying to one-up us, it's kind of, haven't you ever had a conversation with somebody where they like talking about their own accomplishments, and when you talk to them, it feels like, even if they're not being like a jerk about it, it just constantly feels like they're trying to talk about ways in which they are better than you at things.
I'm not saying it doesn't happen, it's just not coming to mind right now.
Yeah. I brush my teeth and throw on some pajamas. I climb into... You have. You've definitely talked with people like this.
No, I'm not saying it doesn't happen. It's just not coming to my mind right now.
Yeah.
Do you have someone in mind that I should be thinking about?
Yeah, I'm trying to like burn it into your brain right now about when this type of thing happens, when people try to constantly one-up each other even though it's not appropriate.
Are you talking about you and me or who?
No, I'm not talking about you and me. I'm talking about like people that we've been around in a group setting.
Oh, and it's not directed at me, or it is?
It may not be directed at you, but like when they talk to each other, they're constantly trying to like be like, oh yeah, well I did this. Oh yeah, well I did that. Like specifically like with weight.
Oh yeah. Can we tell them just the context of that, or is that going to be...
Yeah, sure, if you want.
So when Stacy and I were in residential treatment, it was a it was the type of place where they...
Mental health, eating disorders, substance abuse, people in there for all sorts of reasons.
Yeah, and the reason they did that is because people who have addictions will often, like, turn to eating disorders, and people who have eating disorders sometimes... Like, everybody, it's all interconnected. That's what their theology was.
Well, yeah. And so you want people to have support around many different types of issues at the same time.
And sometimes seeing somebody with a different type of issue struggling with the same problem helps you. Blah, 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 blah. Anyway, sometimes when people, men or women, men can have eating disorders, when they get together and they talk in a group therapy, sometimes they can get really competitive. And this can also be about drugs too.
Yeah.
Where people are like, oh yeah, it took me this much to overdose. Oh yeah, well it took me this much to overdose. So I just want everyone to know that when you're trying to be competitive with somebody in a conversation about like, oh yeah, well I got an A+, you sound like that. That's how you sound.
Well, and it's also, it's kind of like the whole, like, who has it worse, like, who was the more fucked up.
Yeah, like, I was the most fucked up. Like, so I just want everyone to know that when you're trying to have a one-up conversation with somebody, that's what you sound like. You sound like somebody who's trying to...
It's kind of like, I don't know, maybe viewers will be able to relate to this if you've ever been at a party and people are talking about how many drinks they can have.
Oh, yeah.
I feel like that's
or they're bragging about how much they threw up or something.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that's not something to brag about.
Like, oh, yeah, I had, like, 12 drinks, and then, like, I had, like, 15, and it's like...
I puked so much, I puked blood, and you're like, wait, why are we bragging?
Wait, why are we bragging about this? But, yeah.
Are you okay?
So, yeah, people can definitely be competitive with each other about things that... And that is, like, kind of not directly related to, like, this dating conversation.
Wait, maybe that's why I always have really weird responses to when people say things like that, because they're like, I had such a hard time, like, this weekend, like, oh, I puked. I'd be like, oh, are you okay?
Yeah.
Where other people are like, that sounds like a great time. I'm like, no, are you dying?
I know.
Alright, anyway, yeah.
I brush my teeth and throw on some pajamas. I climb into bed, set my alarm, and close my eyes. You think we'll be late? Okay, sleep.
This always happens to me when I know I have to wake up.
I know. I am wide awake. I can't help but think about the last time I went fishing, hoping that there's something I can glean from it in order to give me an edge over Brian. I was about 9 years old. My dad woke me up one morning and told me to get dressed and meet him downstairs.
Just watch a bunch of YouTube videos about it and then recite those facts, and if you do poorly, say, oh man, it's not my day.
You realize that Todd, in the context of this game, can barely use dad book? Do you really think we're capable of looking up fishing YouTube videos on our own?
I don't know.
It was still dark out. I had no idea what was going on, but before I knew it, we were both alone on a freezing cold lake. I had to sit there for hours while it got hot and muggy, the air thick with bugs. I picked at mosquito bites while my dad sat in stony silence, fishing pole in one hand and a beer in the other. We didn't catch anything. On the long drive home, my father bought me a pack of cigarettes and didn't say a thing.
Wait, what?
I think that's a joke.
Okay.
That didn't help, and I think I have some repressed sadness about my father. I'll deal with that later.
Oh, God. That was dark.
I'm sitting on a boat in the middle of a body of water. I can't see any land, but I know it's a lake. The water is placid and still. I'm holding a fishing pole. I think we're dreaming.
You know, fishing can be a really nice experience if you don't freak out like this.
I don't understand why, but it feels like my life depends on catching fish right now. I cast my lure into the water and wait, and wait, and wait. My whole being is filled with hopelessness as I watch the line disappear into the depths below.
You've used the wrong lure!
I look up and see my father, just as he looked on that one cold morning, disapproving. I'm panicking now. I pull the lure up and try to grab a different one, but all of the lures in my tackle box are the exact same. I look up to my father for guidance, but he's gone. I try casting again, but I can't hold my footing. My boat tips over and I fall into the water, sinking further and further. I see the multitudes of fish that had been lying just below the surface, all swimming around me as if to taunt me.
To everybody who yelled at us for not doing Brian first, does this sound fun to you?
That's what I was just thinking.
This is so stressful. We're literally having a stress dream.
We're having a stress nightmare about going on a date. One fish swims up to me. He has Brian's eyes.
Oh my god, that's disturbing. It's like David Cronenberg shit. I saw a fish, and it had the face of my dead father.
Do you know what this sounds like? It sounds like we're reading like a beat poem, like, a fish swims up to me. He has Brian's eyes. Like, you know what? Have you ever been to one like a poetry slam like that?
Are you hearing this like nightmare music? I'm expecting, and the fish opened its eyes, and out came the dying words of my father. And you're like, wait a second. And at that moment, I knew the secret of death. Like, what the fuck? You gotta use a neutral buoyancy lure if you're trying to catch trout, buddy.
I jolt awake to the sound of my alarm.
That's a disturbing... He has the fish's Brian's eyes. The fuck?
It's fishing day. That would explain the weird dream. I groggily slip on clothes and get ready. I spot Amanda's door half open and see her still curled up in a mountain of blankets. Walking over to her bed, I give her a tiny kiss on the forehead. Fishing day, kiddo. You ready?
No.
Well, you gotta get up. I can't do this without you. Also, stop sleeping in your clothes. Amanda pulls her comforter over her head.
Never.
Amanda.
I'll get up in a minute.
Alright, Brian should be here in 20, so you better not just go back to sleep. Amanda sticks her hand through the blankets to wave me away. I leave her room and make myself some coffee and another cup with lots of cream and sugar for Amanda whenever she gets up.
Did anyone in high school or still in high school ever, like, take a shower the night before and, like, you know, just blow dry your hair and then put on your outfit for the next day and then go to sleep in your outfit? And then so as soon as you wake up, you're ready for school?
See, I never understood the whole sleeping in your clothes thing because I was like, why don't you just sleep naked?
And then flop it all on in the morning?
Yeah. Like, if you're really too lazy to, but like...
Because, Stacey, when it's 6:15 in the morning and you can't sleep because your parents force you to take Adderall, every split second counts.
Yeah. I just don't know if I would be comfortable in my clothes, you know?
Doesn't matter. It's a strategic way of getting 13 more seconds of sleep.
I don't know. I just like things to be, like...
Free?
Yeah. Amanda eventually wanders in and chugs her coffee while I do word jumbles. I hear the doorbell ring. That must be Brian. Still rubbing our eyes, we walk outside to see Brian. He's decked out in fishing gear. Daisy's falling asleep next to him.
Early bird gets the worm, buddy.
You ready to fish?
I was born ready.
My eyes narrow in on Brian. It's a good day to die. Hop on in, guys. Let's get this fishing party started. I walk over to the driver's side door and open it. Brian's dog immediately hops into the driver's seat, wagging his tail furiously. Can I see your license, sir?
Maxwell, let Todd sit.
Maxwell obediently hops into the back to cuddle with Daisy. Amanda settles in next to Maxwell and Daisy and immediately falls asleep.
You ready for an adventure?
I'm ready for glory.
I hope he brought snacks.
I struggle to stay awake as we drive to the outskirts of town. Country music plays quietly from the radio as I watch trees pass by. So, where exactly are we headed?
Yeah, it's about an hour north of here. Little spot I've been going to since I was a kid. My dad used to take me there all the time. I don't think anybody else knows about it. I brought everything we need so that we can catch some trout, have a nice little fire, and enjoy the nature.
My fishing pole is in the shop, getting it tuned up. Do you maybe have an extra I could borrow?
You couldn't even buy one to keep up the lie? Like,
I feel like I would have asked about it sooner.
But of course, it's probably not as nice as it sounds like yours is, though.
Right. I am digging a hole here. I stare out at the forest lining the highway. The sun is just barely over the horizon, scattering dusky pink light through the trees. For a split second, I spot a deer grazing on the side of the road before it leaps back into the brush. After a nice quiet drive, Brian eventually tells me to pull off the highway and onto a dirt road. The car bumps along until we reach a clearing that opens up to a magnificent lake.
Well, here we are.
I step out of the car and help Brian unload our gear as Maxwell runs around us barking. The kids wake up and wander to the shore, where Daisy tries to teach Amanda how to skip rocks. Brian and I carry the tackle boxes and cooler down to the edge of the lake where he has a canoe waiting. The key to skipping rocks is just finding a flat rock. And getting that spin.
Ah, great. It's still... Blah, 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 blah. Ah, great, it's still in one piece. Hold on. Let me help. Why am I unable to read today? Help me out with Maxwell.
I help Brian place a tiny, dog-sized life vest onto Maxwell.
I have one for AJ, too.
Yeah.
And I have a little one that he can hold stuff in it.
I'm confident that even if you put a life jacket on AJ, he would still find a way to drown.
Incorrect! Because I've put him in the water with no life jacket. The life jacket's not supposed to, stop them from, sinking to the bottom.
Oh, no.
It's supposed, because most dogs...
It's not supposed to prevent them from dying, Stacy.
No, listen. So, let's say you're out in the middle of the lake, and most dogs aren't, used to swimming, but they have the ability to swim. So, like, I can throw AJ in the water, like, 15 feet from shore and he'll be fine. Mm-hmm. It's like, if you're out in the middle of the lake, your dog's gonna get too tired to make it to land. Mm-hmm. So you want to put the vest on them so you can get to them and then pick them up, put them back in the boat. Mm-hmm. It's for if they fall off the boat. It's not about, like, actually trying to swim. You know?
Yeah. That's just I'm just thinking of somebody selling it as like it's not supposed to prevent them from sinking to the bottom of the lake.
Did I ever tell you about how my parents threw my first dog, Kalani, into the water at the point here in Chicago? Mm-hmm. You know what she did?
What?
She looked back up at them and sank to the bottom. Oops. She sank to the bottom, and then, like, they were, like, waiting for her to swim. And you know how dads are? Yeah. Speaking of dads. My dad's like, she's a dog, she can swim. And just throws her in the water. Aww. And she just looks up at them as she's sinking below the water, like, deep. Like, this is at the point where the water's, like, deep. My mom's like, I think you should get her. And my dad's like, no, she'll be fine. Okay, I'm gonna get her.
Oh my god.
She got out and she was like, okay, well, we're not doing that again.
We're never doing that again. Thanks.
You asshole. I've saved your children's lives multiple times and you threw me in water, so fuck you. Alright, your turn.
Brian hands me a lime green life vest. Yeah, okay. I don't... If I fall in, I'm counting on you to rescue me.
Wow, that was a lot of squirts. Suit yourself.
Brian turns to Amanda and Daisy, who are still skipping rocks.
Kids want to fish?
Aww.
I'm good with just throwing rocks into the water.
Amanda hurls a rock into the pond with gusto.
Yeah, take that, water. Amanda, you're supposed to be skipping them. Ah. Is that what we're doing? Daisy, don't you want to fish? I think catching fish is kind of inhumane. We're going to explore in the woods and look at bugs and stuff. Alright, be safe. Don't go too far.
Oh, so some people were asking the last time we had a conversation, what was it? I think it was on Brian's date, maybe, where we were talking about, like, actual, like, people who actually, like, hunt and eat what they catch. Mm-hmm. And people took my reluctance on that as, like, I disapprove of all hunting.
Who said that? Where?
It was one of the comments on the video.
Oh, I didn't see it.
That is not true. I don't disapprove of all hunting. I don't personally want to hunt.
You just think it's gross because you're
even if I was gonna eat it, I'm not comfortable with it. I don't have a problem.
Listen, if you think Stacey's a pussy for not ripping open an animal and eating its insides, go, so be it. So what if Stacey's a huge pussy?
No. Yeah, so what?
So what if Stacey's inherently weaker than me? No, I'm just kidding. It's a joke. It's a joke. It's a joke. It's an exaggerated joke. You're literally stronger than me. You literally lift weights 3 times a week.
No, I didn't want people to feel like, because I know that there are a lot of people who hunt and eat to survive. I think that's totally fine. It's just not what I want to do.
Okay, Stacey's an emotionally weak person. Can't you accept her for who she is? She's just not strong enough to be able to hunt her own food. Just respect her inability to...
No, I just like...
I'm just trying to make you mad. I'm sorry.
I think about, like, even just, like, hurting... Oh, did I ever tell you the story about when I was a little kid? And so we're driving along in the family car, right? It's late at night. It is raining, and the pond next to the road where my parents lived flooded. So all the frogs are all over the road. Like, frogs everywhere. And so, like, if you drive down the road, like, you're squishing literally hundreds of frogs.
That's disturbing, this is gross.
And I was a kid, and I was so upset that I made my dad stop the car and let me get out, and I walked in front of the car, shooing all the frogs out of the road. This is, like, in the middle of the night when it's dark and raining. And I'm shooing all of them out of the road because I couldn't bear the thought of
what your parents should have done is told you to close your eyes or something.
No, you could feel it under the tires, though. Like,
I know,
the crunching of the frogs.
They could have lied.
I was really... Anyways, I was just very, like... I just couldn't deal with it. I was also the kid that picked all of, like, the dandelions and flowers off the lawn before my dad would mow it. And like
your lawn is enormous.
No. This was like the house that I grew up in. It was much smaller.
Oh,
but still, it took hours.
You know what my mom used to do in Hawaii? My mom grew up in Hawaii. She's like 5th generation Hawaiian, and what she would do, because there's nothing to do in Hawaii, she would like find geckos and pick them up with chopsticks until their tails fell off, and then she would eat gecko eggs because she didn't know what they were. That's my mom. She is a PhD now.